Harris County Courthouse, Houston, Texas. A sterile courtroom with fluorescent lighting casting harsh shadows. The gallery is half empty, filled mostly with other defendants awaiting their turn. Marcus Williams, 34, sits hunched at the defendant's table wearing an ill-fitting public defender's suit. His calloused hands shake slightly as he stares at the sentencing documents. Behind him, his 8-year-old daughter Emma sits alone in the gallery, her small frame dwarfed by the wooden bench. Judge Patricia Hawkins reviews the case file with visible disgust. Mr. Williams, you stand before this court convicted of theft in the 3rd degree. You stole baby formula and diapers from a grocery store while your children waited in the car. The prosecutor, District Attorney Sarah Chen, stands confidently. Your Honor, this defendant has shown a pattern of poor decision-making. Despite his sob story about unemployment, theft is theft. We recommend 18 months in county jail to send a clear message. Marcus's voice cracks as he speaks. Your Honor, I know what I did was wrong. But my baby daughter needed formula, and I had no money left after paying rent. I've been unemployed for 6 months, and— Excuses, Mr. Williams. Judge Hawkins interrupts coldly. Plenty of people face hardship without resorting to crime. You put your children at risk by involving them in your criminal activity. Emma's eyes fill with tears as she watches her father's shoulders slump in defeat. The courtroom feels suffocating, filled with judgment and condemnation. The same courtroom, moments later. The emotional weight of the situation becomes palpable as Marcus struggles to maintain composure. Marcus turns slightly to look at Emma, and his heart breaks. She's wearing her only good dress, a faded pink one with a small tear at the hem that he'd promised to fix months ago. Her shoes are too small, and her hair is pulled back in a ponytail held by a rubber band because they couldn't afford proper hair ties. Your Honor, Marcus's voice trembles, I'm all they have. Their mother. She died in a car accident 2 years ago. It's just me and my 3 kids, Emma here, and her baby sister Lily who's only 14 months old, and my son Jake who's 5. If you send me to jail. His words trail off as he realizes the magnitude of what might happen. His elderly neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, has been watching the younger children, but she can barely care for herself. The courtroom clerk, Maria Santos, notices Emma clutching a small, worn teddy bear, the same one her mother had given her before she died. Emma's eyes dart between her father and the stern-faced judge, trying to understand why everyone seems so angry at the daddy who reads her bedtime stories and makes her laugh when she's sad. Judge Hawkins remains unmoved. Mr. Williams, the court recognizes your personal difficulties, but we cannot allow emotional circumstances to override the law. Single parents manage to provide for their children without breaking the law every day. Emma watches as her father's lawyer barely looks up from his phone, clearly going through the motions with yet another indigent client he's been assigned. The weight of poverty, loss, and desperation hangs heavy in the air. Marcus realizes he's completely alone in this fight, facing a system that sees him only as another criminal rather than a grieving widower desperately trying to keep his family together. The courtroom tension reaches its peak as Judge Hawkins prepares to pronounce sentence. Mr. Williams, this court finds that. Judge Hawkins begins, but suddenly a small voice cuts through the formal proceedings. Wait! Emma stands up from the gallery bench, her teddy bear clutched tightly against her chest. Please don't jail my dad. The entire courtroom freezes. Court Officer James Mitchell moves to escort Emma out, but Judge Hawkins raises her hand to stop him. Something in the child's voice catches her attention. Emma's words pour out in a rush, her voice echoing in the silent courtroom. My dad didn't want to steal. I saw him crying in the car before we went to the store because baby Lily was hungry and screaming and we didn't have any more formula. He said, Emma, sometimes grown-ups have to do things they don't want to do to take care of the people they love. The prosecutor shifts uncomfortably as Emma continues. He's not a bad man. He makes us breakfast every morning even when there's just cereal with water because we ran out of milk. He reads to us every night from the same 3 books because they're the only ones we have. When I have nightmares about Mommy, He holds me until I stop crying. Maria Santos, the court clerk, wipes away a tear as Emma's honest testimony reveals the true picture of their daily struggle. He teaches us prayers Mommy used to say, and he always says, "We're going to be okay," even when I can see he's scared too. If you take him away, who's going to take care of us? Who's going to tell baby Lily that Daddy loves her when she cries for him? Emma's voice breaks as she looks directly at Judge Hawkins. "Please, Lady Judge, my dad is good. He just loves us too much." The courtroom is completely silent except for the sound of Emma's quiet sobs and several spectators reaching for tissues. The courtroom atmosphere has completely shifted. Judge Hawkins removes her glasses and studies the small girl who has just laid bare a truth that court documents could never capture. Judge Hawkins's stern demeanor begins to crack. She looks at Marcus with new eyes, seeing not just a convicted thief, but a father who has been pushed beyond his limits by circumstances no parent should face alone. "Bailiff," Judge Hawkins says quietly, "please bring the child forward." Emma walks hesitantly to the front of the courtroom, still clutching her teddy bear. Judge Hawkins leans down from the bench, her voice gentle for the first time. "Emma, is it? That's a beautiful name. Can you tell me about your baby sister?" "Her name is Lily, like the flowers Mommy planted in our yard before she went to heaven," Emma says, her fear beginning to subside. "She's learning to walk, and she laughs when Dad makes funny faces. But she cries a lot when she's hungry, and Dad always finds a way to feed her, even when—" Emma trails off, suddenly understanding that she might have said something to get her father in more trouble. Judge Hawkins looks at Marcus, then at the prosecutor. "Ms. Chen, in your recommendation, did you consider alternative sentencing options?" District Attorney Chen, clearly affected by Emma's testimony, speaks more softly than before. "Your Honor, perhaps we could explore community service options, combined with mandatory job placement assistance." Marcus looks up in shock, hardly daring to hope. Judge Hawkins addresses the courtroom. "This court has heard many cases, but rarely have we been reminded so clearly that behind every defendant is a human story. Mr. Williams, your actions were wrong, and there must be consequences. But this child has shown us that justice must be tempered with mercy." She turns back to Emma. "Sweetheart, your daddy is very lucky to have you speak up for him. And you're very brave for doing it." The transformation in the room is palpable. Where once there was only judgment, now there is understanding. The same courtroom, now filled with an atmosphere of hope and redemption rather than condemnation. Judge Hawkins returns to the bench with a completely different demeanor. She looks at Marcus with compassion rather than contempt. "Mr. Williams, I am sentencing you to 200 hours of community service at the Houston Food Bank, where your experience with food insecurity can help other families facing similar struggles. Additionally, the court is ordering immediate enrollment in the county's job placement program." Marcus's eyes fill with tears of relief as Judge Hawkins continues. "Furthermore, I am personally reaching out to local religious organizations and community groups to ensure your family receives immediate assistance with groceries and childcare while you complete your service requirements." But Judge Hawkins isn't finished. She addresses Emma directly. "Young lady, your courage in speaking up for your father has reminded everyone in this courtroom why we're here, to serve justice, but also to serve our community. Your love for your family is an example to us all." Court Officer Mitchell, moved by the scene, approaches Marcus. "Sir, my wife runs a daycare center. If you need help with childcare while you're looking for work, we'd be happy to help." Maria Santos adds, "I know the manager at the grocery store where this happened. I think I can arrange for you to pay back what was taken through work rather than money." District Attorney Chen approaches the defense table. "Mr. Williams, my office has connections with several employers who specifically hire individuals working to rebuild their lives. I'll make sure you get those contacts." As the court session ends, Emma runs to hug her father. Marcus lifts her up, tears streaming down his face. "Emma, baby, how did you know what to say?" "Mommy used to tell me that love makes people brave," Emma whispers in his ear. "And I love you so much, Daddy." Judge Hawkins watches the reunion from the bench, and for the first time in years, she remembers why she became a judge, not just to punish, but to help heal communities and families. 6 months later, Marcus has completed his community service, found steady employment at a local warehouse, and moved his family into a better apartment. Emma still carries her teddy bear, but now she also carries the knowledge that sometimes, speaking up for love can change everything.